Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Desi Sportscast. And it's a football show today, and it's a all about the EPL today. I thought we'd concentrate on the English Premier League, and I've been doing the show for a couple of years now. And as you know, I co-host it with a Chelsea fan, and whenever I speak to most people back home on the show, they're supporters of one of the big, well, so-called Big Six. But it's always heartening when I see on Twitter and other social media about the following that other clubs have. And obviously, whenever I see a fellow Fox back home, it cheers me up no end. But today we've got a member of a fan club that I've been following on Twitter for a while. And I've been trying to get him on the show because it's always good to learn about other clubs that are being followed, like I said, apart from the top six. So I'm really grateful, and let's bring him onto the show to have a Indian Hammer join the show, and it's a very warm welcome to Kumar Jasparaj. Kumar, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you, mate?
Yeah, really, really good. It's a gloomy day here in England, in Leicester. As you've probably seen in the news back home, we've had a bit of a storm here over the past 24, 48 hours, and I think we're at the back end of it. I'm hoping the weather's a little bit better where you are.
But weather's better here. Also, the number of cases have been going down in the on the COVID front, so things are opening up now. I hope things are better in UK too.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, here, as I've been saying to on the show, we're pretty much back to normal. Everybody's had a booster jab, pretty much. Everything's open. Football's been open from the start of the season, full crowds. So yeah, it's pretty much like it was before the pandemic. Obviously, we've got cases, but I think we've got used to it now. We're going to live with it and
Yes,
just carry on.
absolutely.
So, but it's really good to have you on the show, and I know we're on a tight schedule as well because when I booked the show with yourselves, I didn't realize the Hammers are playing in about an hour, so I want to make sure that you are there for the start of the game. But firstly, the Indian Hammers. Where does your affiliation? We'll talk about the fan club back home in a bit, but in terms of yourself personally, how did you start following West Ham?
Football was, I mean, the EPL first broadcasted India in the year 2000-2001 season. I was a football fan earlier, but we used to watch only the international matches which were shown in the TV. When Blackburn had won the Premier League in 95-96 season, so there was some news with regards to the Premier League. So I started following the Premier League, and I uh, started following West Ham after I saw their match against Newcastle, coincidentally, which is the fixture today. And West Ham had won 2-1 in that match, and I thought that this is the best team. That was my first football match at the local level. I mean, I saw international matches, but my first Premier League match was Newcastle versus West Ham, and which West Ham had won 2-1. And it was like the team had scored two late goals to come down from 1-0 behind and beat them 2-1. So I was like, this is it. This is the best team ever. I'm following it. And irrespective of the ups and downs throughout, I mean, I've been following West Ham since 1999, and we are in 2022 now, so the affiliation stays, and we have been relegated twice in my
Yeah.
in this period, and I have followed them in the championship also religiously.
Oh, well, that is really heartening to hear because, there are a lot of fans who just follow the clubs that win trophies year in, year out, or always competing.
Yes,
And you've had the feeling of what it's like to be relegated and still support that club in division, well, it's called the championship now. And that's not an
yes,
easy task, especially not living in the city. As a Leicester fan,
yes.
I'm here, so I live it and it's part of me, but living abroad, back home, and it's tough.
Yeah, so the matches are not broadcasted at the championship level, so you just have to follow the news on the website. That's difficult. You can't see your team for one whole season, but I was
Of
sure that
course,
we'll be bouncing back.
of course, yeah. I didn't realize that you can't even watch your team if they're not in the Premier League. Yeah, and that makes it even harder. And you mentioned
Yeah.
the highs and lows, but one thing, that you would have started with is following your team in your home ground, the Bowling Ground, which was an incredible stadium. It was a very, for a
Yes.
away fan, it was intimidating to go there, but the atmosphere was incredible.
Yes, and when we were moving to, I mean, moving away from bowling ground, it was an emotional moment, and something felt very wrong about it. But now it's great to see 2 3 seasons after we moved on, the same atmosphere is back in the London Stadium. So, no, hopefully not missing bowling too much. But then there are quite a, I mean, almost a century of memories attached with the bowling grounds.
Oh
So
yeah,
difficult to forget that.
absolutely. And well, I'm not a fan of the London Stadium. I'll be honest with you. I've been there. It's not a good football ground to watch. I get your point about the atmosphere. It is a lot better, but I think that's down to the team and how well it's doing. But West Ham fans have always had incredible support, even away when they come here to the King Power. Their support is one of the best.
Yes. So, I mean, both, I have to say for Leicester as well, both sets of fans are very passionate about their clubs. And especially West Ham, I mean, they are one of the non-glamorous clubs from London. So, I mean, there are more glamorous clubs as such from London, but the fan base is very loyal in the Hammers.
Yeah, and because of the area that it comes from, the East End of London, I mean, those people are salt of the earth, as they say here in England. They're very, very loyal to their um, history of where they come from, the east part of London. And or if you're born a West Ham fan, you know, it goes through the family. So it really comes across. So, in terms of your affiliation, you said you started in 1999 and you've had, like you said, a few lows, but you're having an incredible couple of seasons at the moment, especially this year.
Yes, yes.
And
So last year was simply amazing. I mean, with the two Czech Republic imports, we were like soaring high in the sky. Unfortunately for us, these two are, not underperforming, but not at, playing at the expected level. And if I'm just saying, if Sufal and Soucek would have been in the same kind of form that they were last season, we would have been in the top four. In fact, we could have been in the title race as well. I mean, it's a little over ambitious by me saying it, but I know I'm talking to a Leicester City fan who had defied all the odds, in that great season. So Leicester City is a an example for clubs like West Ham that we can emulate Leicester as well. We can be winning the Premier League as well.
for me, it's really good to see the so-called Big Six being broken up by the likes of us, especially yourselves in
Yes,
the past couple of
absolutely.
years. Now we're seeing Wolves come in as well. So you're seeing the
Yes,
other London clubs, like the Spurs and Arsenal struggling to keep up. But we'll talk a lot more about this season, which has been incredible for your boys, and we'll see what your expectations are because March, I think, is going to be a crucial month for yourselves. But tell me
yes.
about the Indian Hammers and how did you guys get together? How is it working? You know, how big is it, and how do you follow the Hammers from back home?
Okay, so about the Indian Hammers, the group I mean, formed in 2013-14,
Oh
around
wow!
2013-14. Yeah, and it is originated from Bangalore, a city which is quite away from Mumbai, from my place. So I actually was not a part of the Indian Hammers since inception. I joined them at the beginning of the last season. I was browsing through the West Ham site to see their international fan base, and I happened to see that there were two official, fan clubs which are associated with West Ham in India. So I
Oh,
decided to join them both, and I found out that one was non-existent. It had wound up, but the website was not updated. So I decided to. I mean, I spoke to the owners, the admins of both the fan clubs. So I joined the Indian Hammers last year only. I was not aware that I used to initially think that I'm the only Hammer fan in India. That was my impression because everywhere that we went, I mean, nobody in Mumbai, I had never heard anybody say that I'm a West Ham fan.
do you
So
wear?
I used to
Can I just ask?
universally think. Huh?
Do you wear your shirt when you go out and about socializing in Mumbai? Do people
Uh,
recognize it?
Yeah, my friends are all Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal fans, and we generally go to pubs where they broadcast the matches, and generally it's the match between Arsenal or Chelsea or Liverpool versus Manchester United, and I'm just sitting there with a West Ham jersey, so nothing to
Fantastic.
celebrate. So for me, either club scores, either club concede, I don't care. So I mean, now that West Ham has been performing consistently, the pubs have started broadcasting West Ham matches as well. So that gives me an amazing kick because I can see the Chelsea versus West Ham match where everybody is in a blue color, I am in a maroon color jersey.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, that gives me a kick. It's a great feeling, and especially to beat people, the teams which are in the top, those so-called top six, is an amazing feeling. You get to rub a lot of salt in the wounds of the fans of this club.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the Indian Hammers, and it's perfect timing actually. I'm going to bring a fellow Fox in. Akash is joining us, and he's part of the Indian Foxes group. So it's really good to have two fan clubs from so-called smaller clubs. But welcome, Akash, and good to see you in the FA Cup winning jersey.
Yeah, one can only hope for again for those glories that are going amiss this season. But hi, Kumar. I hope everything is going for you because you guys are just smashing it in this Premier League season. I hope you dethrone finally a top four side and make your claims to the Champions League.
Yeah, we are hoping on the same. And thanks for the wishes, man. And I can also wish good luck to you guys. I mean, your season has been with a lot of ups and downs so far. So I mean, when it's
Yeah.
good, it's all very good, and when it's going bad, it's going very bad for you right now.
But in you, Akash, before you joined us, Kumar was just telling us about the Indian Hammers and a little bit about the group. And I said that I'm part of the Indian Foxes, so it'll be good to hear from you about the Indian Foxes. But Kumar, you're telling us about the group and how it was formed and
Yes,
how
yes.
big is the group?
So
And
So we are close to 55 members, 55, 60 odd members as of now. Uh, uh, and we don't know, there might be more hammers in India, but we are not, that great in, we are not, we are, our visibility is not yet what we believe. So we would like to market ourselves more so that we have more people in the group, more Indians in the group, and once the results start pouring in, we will definitely have more people. Well, just to give an example, when the announcement of made for the Saudi takeover of Newcastle, we suddenly saw two, three groups forming in India on Twitter. We had Kerala Magpies, we had Mumbai Magpies, and a small change can make. I mean, people can switch affiliations instantly. So once we win a trophy or we are up there in the top four regularly, we will have fans switching over to West Ham as well.
I know you said you joined the Indian Hammers last season, I think. But
Yes, yes.
have you seen through the admins how the group has grown and what are the sort of the age range? Are we seeing a few young fans becoming young Hammers?
Yes, we have hammers from all across the country, including a few representatives from the UK who are, based out of UK or moved to UK, during their, and their fans of, they are regularly, sending us pictures of the matches from the stadium. So we can get, we have the live pictures from the stadium as well on in the group. So it's amazing. The guys there are very cool and amazing. We have people from different states and different age groups. Some are students, some are working professionals. So yes, and it is very nice to gel with people with common interest. I generally had conversations with regards to Premier League with non-hammer always.
Mm.
So it's good to have someone to talk about a common thing. So that's what I've experienced since the last season and this season. That I have somebody to share my feelings to, and I can understand their feelings as well.
And Akash, Kumar was saying that for quite a few years he thought he was the only hammer in the whole of India. And certainly when he was going into various venues to watch Premier League games, he was the sole person wearing the beautiful maroon shirt. It must have been, I don't know, was it similar for you being a Fox back home? Because certainly, as you know, you're a regular on this show, and I've said it for a few years now that whenever I speak to somebody, it's always one of the top six clubs that they support. And I thought there's not a single Leicester City fan back home until I heard about the Indian Foxes and obviously met you. But what was it like for you being a Leicester fan? Did you think you were the only Leicester fan in India?
I did because I didn't see another person. Then suddenly in 2021, a boom happened, and I met 50 odd others who are passionate Leicester City fans in and around from India. So quite a similar story. And once we got going, then sharing the joys of FA Cup was a massive thing amongst that group, because earlier the Premier League was sort of a sole victory, but to enjoy and sharing the victory with others is such a massive feeling, especially when they are from your own community and the nationality.
And I have to say, Kumar, that I'm one of the very senior members of age-wise of the Indian Foxes. I have to clarify that, and it's so heartening for me to see so many young guys following the Foxes back home. But I have to say, they're very active. They're very passionate. The Indian Foxes WhatsApp group. And especially during the game, I'm usually at the game as well. When I come back, there's a couple of hundred WhatsApp messages from the Indian Foxes as they're watching the game, which is fantastic. Is it same for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Our messages reach to the quantity of 400, 500 every game week, and it's as good as a watch along. So, if somebody has a lag in the mobile while watching the match. Back home in India, it's at late nights, the late kickoff matches. So, if somebody writes a goal, and we are yet to see it in our screen. So we generally get the news in advance because people who are live present there live give us the heads up. They play the spoilers role.
Well, it's good that we've got this community. India's a huge country, and but it's a good way to connect with fellow passionate fans. But let's go on to this season, and it's a continuation from last season. You're only a couple of points. I mean, you finished sixth, one place behind us. We should have finished fourth, but both of us were only a couple of points away from fourth. And but
Yes.
unlike us, you've continued your incredible form this year. How's the group feeling in terms of the performances and how it's going this season?
So performances have been, up and down for both of us. I mean, for Leicester as well and for Ramos. For us, especially, the last few performances have gone really bad, but we have got results of
I
them.
have to say you were
And
very lucky last weekend.
yes,
Very lucky.
yes. Not only in the last weekend match, we were very lucky against Kidderminster as well, which is in the sixth tier of the English football. So
Yeah.
yes, we were very lucky to get two stoppage time goals, not one. And otherwise, we would have been the first Premier League club to be knocked out by a sixth-tier team. So non-league club, as to say. It was embarrassing. I mean, but I mean, after the match, all even including the players and the coaches, everybody applauded the Kidderminster Harriers. But what we have realized is that earlier in the season, we played really well and we did not deserve to lose a few matches, which we lost. We are the team with the most losses in the injury time in the Premier League. We have lost four matches. Those four matches could have been drawn, and we lost points there. And the matches that we played recently, we are not playing up to the mark, but we got results, so we are happy. We what we as a group, the Indian Hammers as a group, what we believe is that we lack our squad lacks a lot of
Mm.
depth.
Yeah.
So we don't have a backup striker. Without having a backup striker, we sold one of our strikers who we considered it as a flop and who is working wonders now at Ajax in Netherlands. And uh, I personally believe, even though if he was a flop here at West Ham, the most expensive buy that we ever had, we still should have held on to him before getting a replacement. We shouldn't have sold him back. So that would have helped our cause more. I can see something similar happening to you guys, but you guys have a backup. Vardy's been injured and Daka's been called up into the starting 11. But then at least you have Daka. We have nobody if something goes wrong with in Antonio. So
Well,
what we
at the moment, you've got
sorry,
Bowen scoring the goals for you, which I know
yes,
he's doing the job for you. But the big difference, Akash, with West Ham is that I know I totally get what Kumar was saying, and I thought this is where they would struggle, that their bench strength isn't very good. The depth of squad isn't as good, and they're in all three competitions, but they've been able to field pretty much the same sort of starting 11. You see the six, seven players always play even all the games, FA Cup, Europa League, Premier League. It's not something Leicester have been able to do in any competition.
Yeah, so that obviously becomes a concern for smaller sites like us. We don't have the budget as big clubs do, and that is always going to facilitate the problems and the disparity that lies between the big six and us. It's always a challenge. And Antonio, yeah, he's firing, but what do they do when he is, let's say, injured for 1 or 2 weeks? Those results can matter and change your season in an instant. So I think we have got Daka, but Vardy is just has been that irreplaceable quantity for us. He is a totally different presence altogether, and somewhere or
absolutely.
the other, having a Sebastian Haller, yeah, he found success later, and it took time, and we should be able to give that time to someone like Patson Daka, because he's not well. He's not adapt to a physicality that is so much seen in the Premier League, and we have to be patient with that. Otherwise, if you lose out such a player like Holla, then you can regret and lament about it, but it's not helping, because he has proven himself by being the highest Champions League goal scorer this season. He has scored regularly for Ajax, and it was not happening at West Ham. So I feel that you have lost a really good player in Sebastian Haller, and we really hope that we give time, even if things don't pan out. Let's say for a season or two, we should be sticking around with the assets that we have.
Yes, absolutely. And Daka is young man. Daka is what 22, 23. So he has a lot of
Yeah.
football, footballing years ahead of him. So it's a good investment. I mean, I believe that Daka was in the shortlist of West Ham scouts as well. But Leicester just moved, quite fast with him. So it's a good acquisition, and you guys should be, sticking on with him.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think it's probably a season early for Daka. He's really been rushed because of the injury to Vardy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had so much game time. I think he will be there next season. So I'm pretty sure that knowing Leicester and the way we operate, he will be given that time. And like Kumar says, his age is on his side. But going back to your boys, Kumar, and you mentioned the fact that you haven't got the bench strength, but you keep getting the goals, and you've got three, four players who come in with the goals like Ben Rama, obviously Declan Rice, and I want to talk about him in a bit as well. So it's not, and you've got a good defense as well, but it's just if you have a couple of more injuries, that's where the problems might start arising.
Yes. So, we have Ogbonna out for the season. So he was our, rock solid defender at the back, which we are missing in quite a few matches. And Zuma is doing really well after coming on, bearing that controversy. He's done really well. Let's not talk about that at all.
Well, you
People,
say that, but he's got a lot of following amongst West Ham fans in terms of, they're willing to forgive whatever he did. Obviously, that's not what we're saying, and that's not what the media and the general public think, that he shouldn't have played that midweek game. He
yes, especially
surprisingly
he should have.
fell. He surprisingly fell ill in the warm up against us. I think he probably looked at Leicester and thought, "I don't fancy this." But I think West Ham didn't do themselves any favors by playing him.
No, see, we were playing against a struggling Watford, which is in the relegation battle. So we did not want to take any chances. So probably, and considering that Moyes had Issa Diop as the only option, a direct replacement for Zuma. Probably thought, let me not take any chances here against a side that is looking for goals and looking for points. So probably that's the reason why Zuma was played. It was a pure footballing reason, yes, I agree that he should have been dropped for at least a match or two till things settle down. He was already fined very heavily by the club as well and by the authorities there as well. So that's been taken care of. And also his pets have been taken away from him. But apart from the footballing point of view, he's a great acquisition for us.
Well, you did
And
spend, I think,
especially
30 odd million to buy him, but you bought two other centre backs as well in terms of Vlasic and Dawson. But it's like I said, in terms of the backup, that's where the issue is, that your bench strength.
yes, yes. Vlasic, you said?
Did you get Vlasic for 35, 30 million odd?
No, no, no. Vlasic is a wing
Yeah,
forward.
winger.
He's not a, yeah,
No, he's
he's
not a
not a
centre back. He's a yeah, but he spent a bit of
uh,
money coming into the
yes,
season.
yes. So close to 20-23 million was spent on Vlasic as well.
Mm.
So he's also one for the future. He's also young. A good acquisition overall. We have Kral on loan from the Czech Republic again, mate of Souček and Sofal. Uh, he has not been given that many opportunity. He's also very young, 21, 22 only. So probably if Rice decides to move on, probably he might be the one who would be taking on the baton.
Well, you mentioned Rice, and I want to come to, like I said, Rice as well. But what are your thoughts on David Moyes? And like you said, you've been following them for years. What were your thoughts when he was reappointed as the manager?
So I was very happy because the first time he was appointed, he saved us from relegation. So I knew the moment he was appointed again, he would be safe. We were in a relegation battle that season as well. I knew we were safe the moment we appointed him. But the next season would be so great wasn't in my thoughts at all. The next season, right from the relegation battle to a top four battle, was an amazing switch, an amazing job done, and he's done it twice now. So it's a loss of Manchester United that they did not stick long enough with him. He was an ideal successor to Sir Alex
Well,
Ferguson.
West Ham
If they
didn't
would
stick
have,
with him after he saved you.
yeah.
You
So I
decided
mean,
to go to Pellegrini.
yes, because Pellegrini was the first ever West Ham manager or head coach, whatever you like to call them, who has a Premier League title. So it was like an upgrade from David Moyes.
So have you
So
downgraded back to David Moyes then?
So David Moyes has not won a Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Pellegrini was coming. I mean, he's the first and the only manager in West Ham's entire history to have won the Premier League. So that was the main reason, and the club really believed that Pellegrini would be changing the club massively, and we would be a regular top four. I mean, that's when we had a lot of expensive buys like Felipe Anderson, Holler came in at that time, and a lot of other big buys, but. Yarmolenko came. Yarmolenko is also, I mean, a good player at the international level, but not that great or effective in the domestic circuit. So a lot of expensive players were bought at that time, which did not turn out in the club's favor.
And but
So
you're happy with the job Moyes is doing now.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um, Coming to you, Akash, at the start of the week, there was a typical social media overreaction. Somebody made a tweet about our manager, Brendan. I'm fully backing him. What are your thoughts on Brendan and the silly topics that were discussed at the start of the week?
Well, he has been able to find some of the answers that should have been found by any manager of the class. So that bothered me throughout the season, the set piece particularly. And I have been on both sides of this discussion. I have been out at times, been in at times. Right now, I think changing the manager
Sorry, I
do us
think
a
you're just
favor.
breaking up there, not coming through.
Let me reconnect. Wait.
I think he's having some internet issues. So hopefully Akash can join us back. But yeah, it's so strange supporting the clubs like ours, where I think for us, Leicester City, the expectations became unrealistic in terms of the certain fan base, certain number of people that thought we should be by right fighting for a top four place, and then when the season panned out the way it has, all of a sudden people were questioning Brendan.
So that's what generally happens with all the clubs, right? You have a few bad results, and the coach is the first one to take the brunt of
I
everything.
think as fans of West Ham and Leicester and obviously Wolves, we have to be realistic as well in terms of
Yes, absolutely.
what our expectations should be each year.
Yes, because see, I believe Leicester. I mean, you guys have terrific owners as well. So,
Oh, the best.
uh, uh, yes, I agree. The best in British football, because the owners are equally passionate about the club, like the fans are. So I don't see any Leicester fan complaining about the owners. Yeah, they might complain about the managers or certain performances in a few matches, but they will definitely not be complaining a single bit for about the owners at Leicester.
Yeah, and I'm glad Akash has joined us again. Akash, do you think as Leicester fans, there's a certain number that whose expectations are unrealistic, being Leicester fans, and that's why this silly conversation about Brendan?
I think this season was always going to be a timid one because it's again a transition period. The summer rebuilding was coming, even though it wasn't announced before, and that's where we got our calculation wrong because many of the fans were expecting the same levels that we performed last season would be kept and maintained, and we would finally be able to break the barrier and reach that top four equation. But that didn't happen. And realistically, yeah, it was always difficult. And this season looked like, any top 10, within the top 10, top half finish would suffice because the summer rebuild will help us a lot. There have been injuries, numerous injuries. Fofana was an untimely one right at the start of the season, and we haven't found replacements. All the budget going into stadium rebuilds and for the facility was already taken out. King Power Group, again, a group that thrives on tourism, is enduring heavy losses. So, all that coming into the broader context, I think it was always going to happen. And yeah, Brendan Rodgers does get harsh criticism, but it only comes because the fans are more aspired this season. They want ambition to be fulfilled, and that is just creating the imbalances all throughout the fan base everywhere through Leicester fans.
And Kumar, do you think? And sometimes in the, I have to be honest, the Indian foxes, there is that little bit of unrealism in some of the comments in terms of where we should be. Do you get that in the Indian Hammers WhatsApp group that some people don't get it that we are not the biggest club financially?
No, we are all very realistic, down to earth people, and we know where we belong. And we believe that we should be beating the top four, top six teams. It's okay if we lose to the lesser known teams, but especially against the top six, we should be winning against them. The expectation is always high during the match, but eventually during the course of the match we see that the performances have not been up to the level, and we ourselves agree that the result has been right.
And Akash says, as a Leicester fan, a top 10 finish, and Akash will talk about the Conference League in a bit as well. Top 10 finish is probably okay for us this season compared because of the injuries we've had, and we've not been able to. Brendan's not been able to field his first team since he's come to the club. Really, to be fair, so we'll look forward to the next season. But in terms of yourselves and the Hammers, you've got a lot to look forward to in the next few weeks. You're still in the FA Cup. We'll see who you get in the Europa League. You'll be one of the seeded teams going into the round of 16. I think that's when we got knocked out last year. So you'll be getting one of the relatively big boys in that competition. And then obviously you're
Yes,
fighting for fourth. So
yes.
big few weeks coming up for you. How do you see it panning out? And where, as a West Ham fan, are your priorities?
So we would definitely, like to finish in the top four in the Premier League first. But then, these two competitions are also huge, and especially in Europe, if you win the Europa League, you are on the map of European football, and people start recognizing you. So the difficulties we had during the recent transfer windows of attracting talent will that will be resolved by lifting either of the trophies. So if we win the Europa League or if we win the FA Cup, by God's grace, hopefully, and that will help us get more attract more talent. So right now people reject West Ham on the face value. The players do not are not attracted more enough to move to West Ham.
Yeah, and
So that would be helpful. And secondly, I mean, we speaking about the Indian Hammers, you said what's the chats like on WhatsApp group. So we feel that Borussia Dortmund has lost, the match. They were simply scared to face the Hammers, and hence they decided to be knocked out before they can be a part of that draw. And
don't
we are
write him
talking
off.
about.
Haaland will be back for the second leg, and it's only a 2 goal deficit. I don't know what happened to them the other day, but I
Yeah,
like the
and
confidence. I like the confidence of the Indian Hammers.
yeah, and so scared is Barcelona as well that they could not win their first leg match as well. I mean, they needed a little bit of help from the referee to to help them with the draw. And both these teams are so scared of facing West Ham. They will have their fingers crossed during the draw rounds that we don't they don't pick us as their opponent.
Yeah, I'm smiling, but it's not far from the truth. It's not far from the truth. West Ham are a very, very good team on their day, and like I said, because you've got that foundation of playing the same team, pretty much the same
Yes.
players week in, week out, and that's why I'm saying with this crucial month coming up, and you need the players to be there right down to the end of the season. And if you're
Yes.
David Moyes, and you think footballers always talk about miles in the legs, they've got to make sure that they keep that on certain levels and not over play them and what have you. So he will have to start prioritizing, or do you think he will not? He will just play the best 11 every single game, whether it's the FA Cup against Southampton, or whether it's the Europa League, or whether it's an away game to Wolves.
So he has a few distinct, team players for the Europa League and the Premier League matches. He plays pretty much a similar side in the cup competitions as the Premier League, but in Europa, like for example, in the goal, Ariola starts in place of Fabianski.
But now, will he
So
still play in? And now it gets to the group stage is different. But do you think he'll play now?
I think so. He will continue because he's done a great job on the in the goal. He's kept quite a few clean sheets in the group stages, which we have not been able to keep in the Premier League as much. But quite a few clean sheets under the head of Ariola, and he's not a bad shot stopper. He is like a younger version of Fabianski. I mean, a good 8 9 years younger to him, and one for the future, the one probably to succeed Fabianski. Fabianski has been given apparently a year's extension. He's already 37, 38. So he's given another year's extension. So next season we'll be seeing him there. But I see Ariola replacing him soon in the first team.
So
And
ideally,
with
you would like fourth place ahead of the Europa League and the FA Cup. That's the ultimate.
yeah, we would Premier League. Being fourth in the Premier League is equally prestigious. But I would personally hope for a cup.
I agree.
Uh,
Because we were in a
yes,
similar situation last year in the sense, did we want to win the FA Cup or did we want fourth
yes,
place? And if
yes.
you're a die-hard Leicester fan who's been there, we wanted the FA Cup. That was our dream, ahead of the Champions League position. I'll be honest with you.
Yes, I mean it's practical, right? I mean one more season of football, you can. I mean, irrespective of see for Hammers especially, as far as we get 40 points in the season and we are not in the relegation zone, it's a great season for us.
No,
So
no,
that
no.
we have
Those days
already
have gone.
achieved.
Those days have gone for your club and thankfully for our club as well.
Yeah, gone are those days now, hopefully. But that was the mentality or the mindset of all the Indian Hammers, and I believe Hammers all across actually. So as soon as we hit the 38 or 40 point mark, we are safe, and that's it. Our season has been great. So
Well,
now the expectations have risen.
if you see any young hammers in your WhatsApp group saying no, we want Champions League, just tell them no, we want a cup. That's a lot more important.
Yes,
Akash,
of course.
unlike West Ham, our boys, like you said, a top 10 finish will be a good season for us considering what's happened. But I think we should also take the conference really seriously now. It's way back into Europe next year. I think our only way back. And although we played Randers, which was a first division team compared to, they weren't a good team, let's face it. It was. We need to take the competition seriously. Do you agree? I was going to just to
Obviously,
add,
why did at first? Because
just before you comment, I also wanted to add that as a Leicester fan, we're used to winning trophies in the past few years. So this will be another trophy. Unlike West Ham, we've not won a trophy for, I don't know when, it's 1980, I think, the last time. But it'll be good to have this one in the bank as well. Akash?
it would practically, first of all, Europa League was a huge tournament for us to be in, and the way we got out of the group stages, despite holding out Napoli in the first matches, and then everything just went derailed ourselves completely. I think the Conference League is now is for reputation, because Conference League, again, a third tier European competition, not given any sort of real importance in the real world. But when you go into that competition and you don't have a escape route, the only thing you can do is win it, because if you don't win it, then you are not winning a third tier competition, but you are aspiring for the first tier European competition. But if you lose out to it, then you are losing out from that, and if you win it, you are just winning a third year European competition. So either way, it's not all good, but being first time champions of any big tournament is going to be huge for a club like us, especially when many other teams, good teams, have dropped out to this competition as well.
Well, you say the third tier, but it's still a European Cup in my and it's one of the trophies to win. So I still, it is what it is. We don't want to be here, but we're here, and I think it'll be good to get another trophy. That's my opinion, and hopefully we can reach Albania. God, that's going to be a trip, isn't it? If we get to Albania, it'll be one country I never thought I'd be able to say I want to visit. But come the final, I'll be willing to pay literally hundreds of pounds to try to get to Albania. But Kumar, in terms of yourselves, you're also in a similar position to one of your players. We've got a player that we think will go in the summer, and I'll talk to Akash about that in a second. Declan Rice, can you keep him? Because he's crucial to
I
your team.
he is very crucial to the team, and I think we will keep him if we, either win the Europa League, or if we win. I mean, if we are in the top four. So if we are playing Champions League next season, we will keep him. But if we are not, he has made a statement quite regularly in his interviews that he is playing football to win trophies. So if he continues to stay at West Ham, that personal ambition will not get fulfilled, and he's also practical about it, vocal about it, and so are the fans, and so is the club. So we know that we won't be able to match his expectations if we don't win trophies. So it would be good to get a trophy or two, or to play in the Champions League to keep hold of him. Otherwise, he's gone. And there are like big fishes waiting for him. Like, I mean, Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea. Everybody has been rumored around with him. Bowen has been linked with Liverpool. So. Rice will go certainly for sure. If he stays, he'll be a club legend for sure. He already is, but I'm sure he'll leave in the near future if we don't win anything.
And again, I'll come similar to Leicester. We usually lose one player every season, but the thing with our owners is they will get the price that they want. That's the good thing about owners. If you want him, you pay this price. We're not going to budge. And you've seen it with Maguire and Chilwell and others. Do you think
Yeah, Mares.
your owners
Yeah.
will be the same with Declan Rice?
Yes, they have been quite vocal about it. Nothing below 100 million would do for Rice. So I hope that they don't, fall to pieces when the negotiation actually starts on the table, and they don't accept a bid which is a sub at not even at par with his market value. So I hope we get a good amount for him, but I mean, my hope would be more towards him staying with us
Absolutely.
rather than seeing him move.
Yeah, and it would be good. I think the price is added by 20% because he's English, he's young,
Yes.
and he's a very rare talent. And like Tillemans, Akash, I think it's pretty much everybody thinks he's going to go in the summer. His contract negotiations don't seem to be going any further. But on the plus side, Ricardo signed a 4-year extension, which is brilliant. I love the player. But in terms of Tillemans, since the rumours started, barring last week, I suppose, against West Ham, his performances haven't been there. He's even been benched a couple of times. Why, Brendan? He is our star man, or has been. What are your thoughts on Tillemans and his future?
Definitely, he is going, and that has been known since a year, I think. Yeah, it's another one of those things, much like Declan Rice. A talent being here, we cannot promise him the things that a player of his caliber should. But I am really disappointed that he's not performing in this particular in his last particular few months, because that will depreciate his value, which we don't want as a club. He will be our first major sale after 2 years, and after achieving security in the Premier League, we have done that. We have sold Kante, we have sold Mahrez, and every one big player has been going out to other clubs to add to our long-term stability, build the facility and everything around that. But we haven't done that last year, and it has bit us back because we aren't doing this season. We haven't brought in much needed reinforcements in the centre back line, so those things have gone bust. Very important for us to sell a player, get the value that we think is fit, and that will help us in rebuilding in the summer, because I think we have got a stacked midfield. We don't need any more additions into the midfield, but the back line is a real issue which hasn't been able to solve itself throughout this season, and this can't go on forever. So yeah, summer we need to invest those funds cautiously into the back line.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I mean, they're talking about 50, 60 million for him. I hope we get something around there. But like you say, it depends on his performances as we come to the end of the season. Akash, I did say to Kumar that when I booked the show, I forgot that West Ham are playing in about, they're kicking off in about 11 minutes. So I would let him go in just enough time to make a cup of tea and get ready for the big game against the new Rich Boys, who are on
Yes.
a good form at the moment with their signings over the January. How do you see this game going? It's not going to be as easy as it would have been a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, absolutely. So we are jealous of all the signings they could make. We couldn't make a single one in the winter window, and with some key few players missing for them, we are positive to get a result. So, irrespective of who they've bought over the window, we are positive that we'll be getting a result tonight.
Yeah, and I think with the results coming, the games coming up, it gets to this stage of the season, especially where you are fighting for fourth, that you can't afford to drop points. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think you will get a result against Newcastle in a couple of hours. Akash, for us away to Wolves, I'm going to the game. I don't know why. I'm not looking forward to it. I'll be honest with you. The way they're playing at the moment and the way we're playing. What are your thoughts on the game tomorrow, my friend? Give me some hope.
It can always surprise you. It's Leicester. It's never a dull moment with Leicester. Either you can return
I
home
agree.
bullish happiness, or otherwise it can go sideways like it has for the past month. But winning against Randers would give us a little bit of confidence, because we lost against Forest.
Oh,
So
don't talk about
another
that,
lower tier side.
Akash. Don't talk about Forest. Not, no. Don't broadcast it on the live on YouTube. Let's not mention that horrible club.
Yeah, they are going to get knocked out eventually in the next round. So nothing too optimistic for them. But yeah, so I'm on the edge on this one as well. Wolves again, without Adama Traore, they are looking solid. They haven't missed him a bit. He was not performing. They sold him to Barcelona, and now he's doing well. Loan spell sufficing good. But Raul Jimenez, everybody in that team is clicking. The goalkeeper is Jose Saiz, absolutely a stunning goalkeeper, a magnificent signing
I
for them.
think he's one of the
It will be
top two
very,
or three goalkeepers in the
yeah,
Premier League.
Yeah, an apt
absolutely.
replacement to the previous goalkeeper. I mean, he was equally amazing.
Yeah.
Bring their goalkeepers from Portugal, and it's like amazing how they perform.
Well, one of our managers is a very big Wolves fan, and he loves the new manager, new coach. He's doing wonders. He's attractive football. They are good to watch, unlike under the previous manager Nuno. They did become a little bit boring. So, yeah, the weather's not good. We're playing Wolves away. It's a horrible city, but I suppose as a fan, you have to do these things sometimes. But
Yeah,
Kumar, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the show. I genuinely mean this when I say I hope you get top four. I like it, what I said at the start. Let's break this so-called top six. Let's have the likes of West Ham, definitely my boys, Wolves, being in that top six on a regular basis. And
absolutely.
I hope you have a wonderful cup run in one of the, because we felt it, and as Akash is wearing the shirt from last year, it brings back wonderful, wonderful memories from that Wembley day, and I hope you guys get to experience it, the Indian Hammers, and hopefully we can have you back on the show, and we'll have to somehow get a live watch next season. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll do it with the Indian Hammers and some of the Indian Foxes. Although we'll have to get the Foxes to be a little bit more tempered and what have you, because they are a passionate bunch.
It's the same with these guys, but I mean, they are all within their limits as well.
Well, good luck for the game coming up. Akash, always pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Really great always talking to a fellow Fox, and really fantastic speaking to you, Kumar. Stay safe, my friend, and hopefully we'll have the Indian Hammers back on the show celebrating a trophy.
Sure, sure. And thanks for the wishes, and all the best to you guys too for the rest
Brilliant.
of the season.
All right, nice. Take care, guys. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.